This is the Aldora Devlog. Let us begin. Okay, so backing up from the other day, basically yesterday, I've done a bit more work on the game as a whole for the Erendir region. Now, if you can see, the castle is looking pretty dang good at this moment in time. So, what we're going to actually do is we're going to actually jump into the game, and we can then head over by going from Talendar. Now, one thing of note that I have done, and you probably can see right now, is I've added a load of trees to try and get the shadows to come out. Now, there is a couple of little bugs with this, or improvements that need to be made. Some trees that are already spawned don't have shadows, yet the ones that do spawn have shadows, so I'm going to have to replace a load of trees. However, when it comes towards all of that, I realise that the game is very flat, if you can tell. So I'm going to add a little bit more terrain texture to give it a bit more of a nicer feel when you're walking around the entire world, because in the real world, the terrain isn't flat, it's bumpy and wavy and all that stuff. So what we're now going to do is we're going to make our way over towards the entrance of the zone, and you can see that there is a ton of little buildings everywhere and everything going about as well. So as we come in, we can see that I've been very busy when it comes towards everything. We'll go for a recap of just where we were yesterday, and that was the barracks with a lovely little fireplace within there. And then if you keep going around and going along with all of that, we have our little blacksmithing area. Turn around and you can see a bit more of the city, and there is a bit more with the buildings and the barn. And then if we go over towards the other area where we left off, where the pot of gruel was, you can see that I added more buildings, a lovely little barracks area right near the front door. It's the same building, just without a chimney. And then if we head over here, you can see the first structure which I actually built. Now, this first structure that I actually built was the lumber mill. The entire intent for this is I wanted to have it a bit more of an open feel, so I copied the idea of making the roofs like this and then applied it to the top part. I actually really like this one because it's got two levels to it, so like if you walked in and it's raining, it just covers you. I want the workshop to be like here, and then I want one massive big bit of wood getting hoisted down or hoisted up on the actual machine, along with like a saw or something to that effect. So when you're on top of here, they're like doing a load of like work on the wood. And this is where you would be able to go into your skills and then go to your professions, and then you could do things like building and logging and just refining that wood that you collect out in the open world. I think that's a really cool idea, and then jumping on with that, you could then build up your ship or something to that effect as a carpenter. Now, there is a couple of little storage areas. It just made sense that there'll be storage areas near where every bit of wood is getting created. If we go a bit further, there's the back of the area with more storage, and we cut ourselves round to the next district of the area, and this will bring us to our next building that I actually constructed. Now, this one took forever and a day to create. Now, as you can see, it's got a nice homely feel with the front door. If you actually walk in, you could actually then just head into the actual building, and you can see there's a nice little fire as you open up. This is the building of the inn. So you walk in, there's the inn, you'll be able to walk around and go into the main quarters where like cooking could be done, and this is where you will refresh and restock your characters. Up here will be like beds and like world quest givers and everything to that effect, so like you actually have to go upstairs and downstairs. Well, you don't have to. The option is optional, but it's just a nice touch to add onto that. So I really like the idea of the inn. If we come out, we can see the actual inn as a whole, and I did add a chimney to the top of that one just to make it look like it's a bit more alive if you're walking around the actual city. Following on to that, I added a few more buildings at the back, so you can actually, so theoretically you could actually run through the grass and go back to the part, or not. It's totally optional, but I wanted like these nooks and crannies that you could like sneak down and stuff to get around the city, not just by using the main paths. You could do whichever way you want. That's why I applied the textures. And with the textures in mind, I wanted more noticeable tracks of where people have been predominantly walking. So like it's a bit more dirty here, and there's tracks leading over to this area. This is where all the shipwrights will start preparing, and then there's the main gate where they're actually doing all their work. Come out here and I've added an additional logging area. This one will be for like the dockyard ships and everything. So this area here will be like the main docks. I've got to build up a lot of infrastructure for that because there's a lot of upstairs, downstairs, all that jazz, especially when it comes towards these ships. These ships are going to, yeah, they're gonna be big and everything to that effect, and we can see the buildings and the city from this area as well. Jump up from that, we can actually take a bird's eye view of this. So if we go up, grab this and just zoom out, you can see that the main city is pretty much built on the bottom level. The top level, I want the massive tower. However, that's going to take me a long time in order to build out. I probably could make it out in a day. However, I do have work today, the next day and the next day after that. So I've got about 3-4 days of my day job. And then I can actually start working on the big old tower to finish this off. Because I want the tower to be fully explorable, along with connected with that little bit that I mentioned the other day. The little hole to go underneath the actual city. And then remove this keep because I really don't like this keep. I think it looks terrible. This is with something like that. I'll make a redo a keep version of that and then replace it along with the massive tower that goes involved to centerpiece the entire city. No towers, no nothing. I want it to be a massive high rise at the top, and that's where you can find all like the essence users, magic casters and all that stuff, as well as like the High Lord Regent. Let me give you a bit of lore. Marith was the original lord, or the last lord of Erendir. He was technically a king, and then at the battle against Rondir, the Great Molten Drake, he kind of died. And then the alliance happened, forming the Aronian Empire, and now you just have region lords, and the region lord will be at the top of that tower right there. Alongside that, I have added a few more little nits and bits. You can see that there's a few little buildings hidden away, tucked away, so you can find like a nice little building right here. And then if we jump over to this part over here, we can see that this area is pretty much set up because I have this area planned out. However, I need to apply some textures to the actual world, like some little hills and everything, just to block it off, because if it's just flat, you're not going to find stuff and it's not going to be fun, and you want it to be a bit more immersive than just a pure flat plane. Alongside that, that's pretty much everything I've done for today. I am incredibly pleased with the way the actual inn has turned out. That took ages, however it really did come together very much so, and I'm very proud of it. Other than that, have an awesome rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be soon.